when they wanted to be milked. They had their favourite people to milk them, and they didn't look in any way miserable. It's only now, when it's all become so commercialised, that's when it's become so tragic.
Do you still have time?
No, that's enough.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, my dear, well, I mean, you know, it's just human greed, you know. This is the problem all the way along. Human greed, as the Buddha said. We're destroying our planet through our aggression and our greed based on our ignorance. The three poisons, isn't it? Yeah, it's very sad. And as the Buddha said, you know, greed is not overcome by satisfying greed, because it's just like salty water. The more you drink, the thirstier you get, and you see it.
Do you see any possibility of reverting it? Or maybe, I don't know, at least bringing people to it?
Well, you know, I mean, I think Buddhists could make a start, insofar as we said at the beginning, there's nothing in Buddhism which says that it's okay to harm other beings. And the fact that we close our mind to that doesn't mean that it's a good thing. And also, by eating meat, you are therefore encouraging people to be butchers, which is encouraging them to make bad karma.
Jimmy can send a question, but I forgot. He asked, he told me to ask.
Who?
Jimmy Cancer Butcher?
Who?
Jimmy Cancer Butcher?
Uh-huh.
Because he looked my questions and he said he would remake it.
Uh-huh.
He thinks it's too heavy,
Uh-huh.
questions. And he's quite soft, yeah?
Uh-huh.
He's
Yeah,
speak,
yeah.
and, but he didn't have the time, and I asked him, and he said to me, add one question. He didn't have the time, and he said, add a question, ask why you became vegetarian. If you can reply that, why you became vegetarian?
Why I became?
Vegetarian.
Oh, because of that. Because you think, well, what are you eating? You know, I became vegetarian because I could see that there is simply no good reason why we should live off the flesh of another sentient being that wanted life, that wanted to be happy, that didn't want to suffer. And that by eating that meat, then we are saying it's okay to kill and to, you know, to cause suffering to other beings. Because by killing them, then I am satisfied. Then how can we agree with that? So right from the beginning, in fact, when I was a teenager, I took up yoga way back when, in the 50s. And in this book on yoga, it suggested we become vegetarians, so my mother and I did. But then we didn't know, you know, in those days there were no vegetarian cookbooks. And English food, of course, everything is centered around the meat. If you take away the meat, all you're ending up with is, you know, boiled potatoes and cabbage. So we just didn't know what to cook. So after a few months we gave up just because we couldn't think what to cook. There were nothing to show you what to cook. I mean, things have moved on a long way since then. So when I came to India, then again, when I was living with my Lama, he wouldn't allow me to be vegetarian because he said that I couldn't, you know, the alternatives which there was, I would just fade away and die. So while I lived with him, then I wasn't vegetarian. But whenever I went away and when I was separate, then I became vegetarian again because it was so obvious, isn't it? You know, you can't talk about compassion and then sit down and enjoy a meal of the flesh of another being which didn't want to die. How can you?